Welcome to the Wounds of the Faithful podcast, brought to you by DSW Ministries. Your host is singer, songwriter, speaker, and domestic violence advocate Diana Winkler. She is passionate about helping survivors in the church heal from domestic violence and abuse and trauma. This podcast is not a substitute for professional counseling or qualified medical help. Now, here is Diana.
Hey guys, thanks for coming back and to our part 2 of my very interesting and riveting interview with Latrell Wilson. And as you heard on part 1, she talked about abuse and going through childbirth with her son and the trials she went through there with the birth, and then he has autism and so many other things that have happened in her life. So I won't delay the intro any further. Here is part 2 of my conversation with Latrell Wilson.
So they just started throwing me things, sending me to doctors and making sure he would get the intervention that he would need to succeed. And so because he got all the intervention at a very early age, I didn't know that, I was setting him up for success, because that's exactly what his doctors did. So by the time he got tested, which was at 5 years old, around 5 years old, they could not find him on the spectrum. They just knew he was on the spectrum. And we're in the doctor's office at the testing site, and another team of doctors come to me and ask me, well, what did you do? Because we don't see him, we can't find him on the spectrum. And I was like, well, is this a good thing? Because the autism world is new to me. So you have to tell me, is this a good thing? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, oh.
He's got his own spectrum.
Basically, he has his own spectrum. Like, he can hold a conversation with you at 5 years old. Like, you talk to him, he will talk right back to you. He could read, write, he could do all the things that they said a kid with autism could not do.
So is he like a savant?
Basically.
Wow.
Basically. I call him right now, he's my baby genius. Wow. I call him my baby genius. You would have to be in a room with him to understand why I call him that. Like, because you don't see autism. I don't see autism, and others don't see autism. They're like, something is off. They don't know what it is, and I have to say, oh, he has autism. They're like, what?
Yeah, I've had some friends with autistic children, so I've had some exposure. Have you ever seen The Good Doctor?
Yeah, I love that show.
I really like the show, so it's very interesting.
I don't agree with how they have him talking, because he sounds like a robot.
Yeah, we've mentioned that too.
And my son said, when I introduced the show to my son, he was like, I do not sound like that.
No, but he's probably just as smart as the doctor, so
yes,
it's just a TV show.
It's just a TV show, but I can identify with some of the quirkiness and some of the serious things of having autism, and how difficult it can be for them to live in this world. And so I'm very passionate about autism, and especially the parent. I was young when I found out my son had autism, and autism wasn't something that was broadcast like it is broadcast now. Like it's everywhere. Everybody got a kid with autism. You got a kid with autism. You got a kid with autism.
Yeah. Well, in the 80s, you know, if you had autism, you were just the weird kid in the neighborhood. There was no.
Exactly. And so now that it is definitely out there, there are resources that I didn't have that I'm so jealous of these parents. I'm like, wait. You did what? How did that
No,
happen?
come on. We don't want to be jealous. We want to be happy for them, right?
Yeah, I'm definitely happy. It's just like, wait a minute. I didn't have that. It was just resources. Like they have so many resources for parents now. I didn't have resources. It was a secret club. It was a secret club that you just happen to join, and parents are so afraid to say anything. We don't have parents to talk to. And so our normal kids, you know, like my son like to say, the regular kids, they don't understand what ASD parents, you know, are going through. And so our parenting is definitely different. And so the conversation is different when we talk to each other. It's the empathy that we feel for one another. And we feel it because no one really understands what we go through, and no one really understands the type of parenting we have to do in order for our kid to not have a meltdown, or our kid not to, you know, to succeed. I would say that, but just the littlest thing can just throw their whole little thing off. And it's taking you 3 or 4 hours just to recover for because I cut the sandwich wrong.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
I cut the sandwich wrong. Now I got to recover from a meltdown, a 5-hour meltdown.
So that's like, you know, when the good doctor, you know, his roommate rearranges the canned goods in the wrong way. It just,
Definitely.
There's the same thing. He puts the toilet paper on the wrong way. It's just toilet paper, people. But
not to them.
Not to them. It has to be done a certain way. And
Now he has gotten like that since he's like that with coins. Like that's his soothing, his counting, his change.
Wow.
And so
maybe he can get a job at a bank. You probably love that.
Oh my goodness, he will count all your change. And so it has to be put in a certain order. It has to be lined a certain way. Please don't touch it. Please don't go near it, because if you mess it up, you just messed up his whole little world. And I have to respect him and respect his boundaries when he's doing, you know, things like that, because it's self-soothing. And so it's something that's bothering him, and he has to calm down. And so that's his way of processing things. And so I have to be very mindful of his space when he's in that zone of counting, of sorting things. And I see parents complain about it. Oh, he's doing this, he's doing that, or I can't get my child to do this, and this is the craziest thing. I believe that it's self-soothing for them, and it's something that their brain is saying, hey, I'm trying to focus, so let's focus on this right quick, and so we can calm ourselves down. And so, you know, I since I recognize it, I just leave him alone and let him do it. And eventually he'll come to it. Mom, I have $40 in change. Okay.
That is awesome.
All right.
Let's go to the store.
Yeah, no,
Well,
don't.
with this pandemic, and we've all found out that we all have things that we use to soothe ourselves, and we've had to find things to soothe ourselves because we're locked and we can't leave the house, or you have to work from home, or we've lost our job. All this stuff we went through, we had to come up with our own self-soothing.
That was very tough for him. He had gotten a Rubik's Cube, and so his main thing was to get through the Rubik's Cube. And it was probably September, October, he finally beat it.
You go on TikTok and just video him.
Oh, no. So I told him to do that. He told me no. He wanted to figure it out on his own. I said, think smart, not hard. Go onto YouTube, go on to TikTok. And he was like, no, I want to figure this out on my own. Why do I need to watch a video? I was like,
I mean, people will watch him trying to solve that.
Oh yeah.
And on TikTok, they watch that stuff. So I thought, people would find that fascinating.
Maybe I'll tell him, but once it's done, he doesn't want to do it again. So on to the next thing.
But so you were in a relationship, a destructive one, right? When you had your son.
Yes.
Now, how did you get out of that destructive relationship? You had this process of trying to get out.
Oh, I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, you had to get out.
The destructive relationship that I was in, that was with, oh my goodness, can't think of his name. That's in my book, but I know exactly which one you're talking about. Me and him were together for 5 years, and that was the abusive, that was a mental abuse, a mental and emotional abuse, because I had just gotten out of a relationship that I had not talked about in my book. I think I mentioned it. He's the guy that passed away, and so I mentioned our relationship, but I didn't go in depth into our relationship. That relationship was very, very special, and so I sabotaged that one too. He was a real good guy. I mean, real good guy. And I never really got over him. And so because I never got over him, I never healed from that relationship. I got into another relationship that I knew I shouldn't have had gotten into. I had this guy. He stayed in he lived around the neighborhood that I lived in. And so for 5 years, I told him no. For 5 years, he was very consistent and he was very happy when I break up with my son. When he was happy when I broke up with my son's father, he was definitely happy when I broke up with the last boyfriend, because that's when he became my boyfriend. And so he was happy. He was extremely happy. So he had seen me with those two relationships. So he was happy that I was ending those relationships, and now was his time to enter in. And he was very seductive. He got me to open up in a way that I would never open up. I would not let my guards down, and he totally got my guards down. And oh my goodness, he would do this missing in action type thing. Like he would missing in action, but he'll call me and tell me exactly what I did.
What?
Yeah. He'll call me, what you doing? I know. They told me where you went. blah, blah, blah. So he would have people watching me.
So he was spying on you and
Oh,
checking to see if you were going to
yeah.
tell him
I thought
where
it
you
was
were
cute
at.
for a minute. I thought it was cute for a minute.
Oh, no.
Thought it was cute. I was like, oh, yeah, eyes on me. Oh, yeah, oh, that's so cute. No, dummy, red flag.
I had a boyfriend like that was looking in the windows and calling me up and...
Oh, he had people following me. He won't admit it now, but yeah, he told me he had people following me. He would have people following me. He would he'd call and just say, who's at your front door? Or who came to your house? Wait a minute, wait.
That is creepy.
Wait. Like how did you when things started to change, it was like I didn't like the way he was talking to me. I didn't like what he was doing. And the love that he said that he was loving, it caused pain. Like it hurt. Like it didn't feel good. And if you love someone, love does not hurt. Not one bit. And so I remember this one particular time where he just disappeared. And I mean just disappeared. And I was just distraught because I hadn't heard from him. But he would send his brother by to check on me. He'd send his brother by to check on me. And it's like, but he would know exactly what he could see me, but I could not see him. He could see my move. He could see my every move.
So did you have cameras set up?
No, it was just how my place was, where I stayed. It was eyes always on my place. You could see my house. You can just see me, and so you knew if I was there or not. My car. You knew if I was home or not because the lights are on. Like you knew, it was no way not to know, and no way not to know who is coming over or who's at my door. And so I wasn't putting two and two together. I wasn't looking at the red flags. I'm thinking that he loved me. I'm thinking that, this is normal. Nope, none of this is normal. None of this is all abuse. And just the treatment, just the treatment of, oh, I'm gonna be there. I'm here. I'm there. I always have you. Blah blah blah. No. I didn't love myself enough I didn't love myself enough to leave. I didn't love myself enough to I say enough is enough, because I stayed for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
I stayed for 5 years. And then finally I just was like, this is too much. And finally I just said, I gotta go. If you don't leave me alone, he wasn't going to leave me alone. He was the relationship that he was not going to leave me alone. So I had to leave.
Mm-hmm.
I had to leave. I knew that he would not kill me, but I didn't know if he would. You know what I mean?
Right. There's always that thing in the back of your mind.
Yeah. Like he loved me enough not to harm me. He'll harm everybody else, but he wouldn't harm me. But you got to think, if he would harm them, what makes you think that he would not harm you?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And so I started to fear that he would. And so I just made out of sight, out of mind, I pretended like we were still together. I pretended as if I still loved him, but I had a plan. I was making a move.
Yes.
I was going to move. And so I got a house and I moved. I moved like maybe 4 or 5. I moved some blocks away from him. he still didn't know where I was staying. I was still in the same neighborhood, but he did not know where I was and where I was staying, until a friend of mine told him that I still stayed in West Oak. Mm-hmm. So that gave him room to look for me.
So
now that right there, if anybody's from West Oakland knows West Oakland is not big and it's easy to find. You just gotta be willing to look. You gotta be willing to do the work. And it's not too many places like you can hide. You know, you gotta go through sometimes you gotta go through a main block. So you're gonna be in the neighborhood, and so are you gonna be in the surrounding area? You can find it. And so one day I was in my house and the phone rang, but it rang different this time. Same ring, but it just rang different this time. And I remember what he said to me. He was like, "So, when was you gonna tell me you were moving?"
Well, never.
Yeah, it was like, but the way he said it was like, "I'm gonna get you, but I'm not gonna get you. Just know, I know you stay in West Oakland." So that was, he said, I'm gonna find you. Don't worry, I'm gonna find you. And I was like, okay. And he found me. He found me. He eventually found me. Not because my friend told him exactly where I stayed. It was because he wanted to find me. He wanted to find me. And he found me. And so, but I had escaped. I escaped. I had left him alone. By the time he found me, it was probably 6 or 7 months after he found me. And so I had moved on, gone about my business. Now I'm in a healthier space. I'm not afraid of him like I was before I moved. So I wasn't afraid of him anymore. And he reached out to me. He was like, I'm not going to hurt you, but if anybody hurts you, I'm going to hurt them. That was the threat. If
still creepy.
Yeah, it's still creepy. Yeah, still
you're
crazy.
Still stalking me, but yeah, thanks.
Still crazy. Yeah, it's still crazy. Absolutely, by all means, still crazy. Still crazy. I remember him saying this to me. I remember, if anybody hurts you, I'm gonna hurt them. I'm gonna bless you. He was like, I'm gonna bless you in your relationship, but if he hurts you, I'm gonna hurt him. Like, okay. Yeah.
Oh, that's scary. Well, now on top of all that, you found out that you have dyslexia, and in your book you talked about finishing college finally.
Oh yeah.
So how were you able to pull that off? I
was a career student. I was a career student.
Yeah.
You know what? I didn't know that I had dyslexia until I got to college. I didn't know. I didn't know it wasn't diagnosed that until I got to college. I knew that I had a reading issue. I knew I had a reading problem in elementary school. I knew how I knew because I used to go out for resources. And so my resources always revolved around reading. I went to Saturday school, to get extra help with homework or because I was behind. And, it was that. But once I got to middle school, I didn't receive any of those services anymore. They stopped. They literally stopped. And so from middle school to high school, I struggled. I did not get tutoring. I didn't get help. I had to figure it out on my own. Like I had to figure out what to do. And so I knew something was wrong. I just didn't get the help. It wasn't services like they have services now. Like
Right.
I left the school, I just left the school and they have a dyslexic counselor. They have, they have, programs that you can put your kid in. It wasn't like that for us, when I was young. And so I had to basically fend for myself. So ninth grade year was horrible. My first year in high school was absolutely horrible. I was a 1.0, 2.0 student. I cut every single day. I don't even know how I even got out of the ninth grade. I don't. And if I did get out of how I did get out of ninth grade, I went to summer school. Summer school saved my life every year.
Wow.
So I we didn't like not being in school. And so to have fun, we went to summer school. All our friends were gonna be there because
for different reasons than you, but
yeah, so we all gonna be there. So let's all go to summer school. And so we all would go to summer school. And so finally, I would go to 2. And I knew that if I went to, my brother taught me a trick. He was like, if you go to a community college, it's only 6 weeks and you get that high school credit. And you don't have to complete that class for the school year.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wait. Let's try that. I did that. My sophomore year, I took biology. I took biology. I had this teacher, we called her name, forgot her name, but it wasn't, her real name was not Frenchie. We called her Frenchie, and her name was not Frenchie. We called her Frenchie. And so she came in, she was like, you're gonna flunk my class. And I was like, yeah, pretty much. I know. And so she was like, so I'll see you next school year. And I was like, nope, no, you won't. I took biology in the summer. So you will see me this semester only, and I passed. And so I took that. And so because I took a half a semester of biology, I was able to take another course in the meantime. So I was always a step ahead, and I would go to summer school in the summer, but I would go to the community college because I knew if I went to the community college, it would only be 6 weeks for the summer. I'm done for the semester. So, and then we had after school. Our school was connected with the I guess the adult education program that was in our school district. They would come to our school after school, and you can either go to take more high school classes after school to get caught up. And so I did that. I would take whatever I was lacking, I would make up for it. And so by the time I got to my senior year, I had only had by the time second semester of my senior year, I only had 4 classes. So I only went half a day. And that was because I went to summer school. I went to after school program and took courses. And so not knowing that I had this disability, I just knew that I needed to stay ahead of the game. I was always one step forward, just one step. And so I just took advantage of that. And then my friends, we did not want to miss school. We would cut school, but we didn't want to miss school. So school was in. And so
school was cool.
School was cool back then. School was definitely cool. And so once I got to college, it was a choice because I didn't have to go. My parents was like, you either go to school or go to get a job. Those were the options. I was supposed to go to the military, but I didn't go because my best friend broke her ankle. Shame on her. She broke her ankle, and because we were on a buddy system, she was my buddy, and I couldn't leave my buddy behind.
No.
Couldn't leave my buddy behind. And so, because I didn't leave my buddy behind, I stayed home and didn't go to the service. And so I went to school, and that's when we found out I had a learning disability. My godmother took me to get tested. And once we got tested, we were able to figure it out. Okay, we can work with this. And so I was still in denial. I was still in denial though. It wasn't until after I had my son where I took education like seriously. So it took an extra 3 years for me to actually take it seriously. And the only reason why it took me so long to to finish it was because I was caring for my son. And so I couldn't go full time. I couldn't, I had to make sure my schedule was arranged how can I say it? I had to accommodate my schedule to accommodate my son's schedule. Absolutely. And so that meant maybe 1 or 2 classes. If I was able to take 4 classes in one semester, that was a good year. That was a real good year. And so
it's time for your nap. I don't need a nap. I'm not tired. Well, you need a nap anyway. I need to study.
Yes. And so, and even within, I'm still in school with him, figuring out if he has ADHD and autism. I'm still in school. So
hey, you're always learning. There's nothing wrong with that, right?
Yeah, I'm still in school, and so I finally got my bachelor's in 2013 after many years, $84,000 later, $84,000 later, I finally get my bachelor's in criminal justice. And so I vowed that I would not go back to school, but I got bored. Quick. Like a year later, I got bored, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna go back for my master's. And I did not know what I wanted to get my master's in, and I debated, and finally I was like, let's see what this teaching thing is about. And so I went for my master's in teaching, and it was everything that I needed to know, like to put me where I am now. And so now I look at things totally different. Special education is like near and dear to my heart, not just because of my son, but because I know that I was a special needs kid. And so I know what it feels like to have that disability. I know what it feels like to be talked about. I know I connected with it in so many levels or so many ways that I was able to learn from it. And hey, we're here now.
Amen.
Yes.
Now, I'm really interested in the listeners hearing how you fell back in love with God. Oh, you left church, you went back to church. Mm-hmm. What did that journey look like?
Oh, looking back at that journey looked very, very wild, very crazy. I was not myself. Mentally, I was in denial about anxiety and depression. And so that consumed my life right there. And so I think I gave a testimony a couple of weeks ago, and I had to thank anxiety for bringing me back to Christ, because I was far away. I was gone. I was out there. I said I was not. I remember the day. I remember the night. I said that I was done. I did not want to do it no more. I did not want to have a relationship with Christ anymore. I was walking away, and I was good. Like I felt that thing. I felt it. Like I'm good. Not saying that I did not love Christ. Not saying that I did not love, like I didn't, I'm not going to say I did not love God. I did not love God. I was just tired. I was tired of doing what everybody's saying do to get closer with God, and I'm not seeing any results of what, you know, you guys are telling me to do. And it was like, I'm definitely tired. And I'm born and raised in the church, and I'm still not seeing what I should be seeing. How dare you? You know, how dare you string me along? That was my feeling. Like I was very upset. And I began to cry. Like I was really, really crying. Mm-hmm. Like somebody hurt me cry.
Right.
And I'm laying in the bed, and I hear a voice. And it's like, I turn over and I'm just crying. And he was like, I got you. And I turn over and I was like, I'm so tired of this. I'm sick of this. Like, I'm mad at God. Like, I'm angry to the point where I don't care what you say to me. I don't believe what you are saying to me. So no, I don't want to give you another chance. I don't. I'm tired. He was like, I got you. That's all I got you. Then he said, very soft, I know you're tired. I know you don't want to do it anymore. I know you're ready to give up. If you just give me one more chance, I got you. I literally fell asleep. I woke up the next morning and it was different. Like, what just happened? Like, did I just have this moment with God? Because I felt his presence. His presence was there. His presence was there. And I'm feeling totally different the next day. I want to say the next day was probably like a Monday. So I had to wait to go to church on Sunday. Now I'm at a whole nother church. And I love my church called PFBC, Praise Fellowship Bible Church out of Richmond, California. Oh, Pastor William Coleman III, excellent Bible scholar. He was preaching the same prayer that I had prayed, or the same conversation that I had with God. He preached the sermon and I began to bawl because everything I had said, he said. It was like he had put a camera in my room, secretly recorded the conversation, and replayed it Sunday morning. How dare my pastor do that? Shame on you.
God had a conversation with him.
I'm going to talk to my pastor. Like, what did you do? Did you put you in my room? It was that. And then it was like, I told you, I got you. And every day from the day he told me that he has had me, he showed me he had me. And it's a difference when you see God move in your life just so you can trust him. It was like, I have to come down from where I am so you can see for yourself that I am real. I do hear you, and I'm going to see you through.
Wow.
And so because of that sermon, I went back the next Sunday. But during that week, I was able to hold on to everything my pastor had said during that Sunday. Now, mind you, I've grown up in church. I've been in all types of services.
Mm-hmm.
I have never in my entire life, my entire Christian life, been able to hold on to a sermon and eat off of it every single day.
Yeah, preach it.
And then I get to go back to church on Sunday and refill.
Amen.
Who does that? And
somebody that's been moved by the Lord. That's who.
Oh my goodness. And so because he was faithful, because he showed me, because he had to come down from where he was just to tend to me, little old me.
Mm-hmm.
Come on now. Why can't I be obedient to God's will, to God's way, because he has came down for me? Who does that? He has a whole world to tend to, but his lost sheep is on her way down a road I knew that I was not going to be able to come back from, because I was gone. He knew that had I turned left, I would not be right where I am right now.
Amen.
And so it took what I went through to get me to have a relationship with Christ right now. So I thank the anxiety. I thank the relationships that I've been through. I thank every guy that I've dated. I thank every person that has caused chaos. I thank myself for creating the chaos to get me to where I am right now, to have a relationship with him, to see his face and to see him for who he is. So that's where I am with my relationship with Christ. Is totally different from what it was.
Oh yes.
And I can't wait to see what he has next for me, because all you have to do is be obedient. He don't tell you to do anything else. Well, he does tell you to love God, love his people, but you have to be obedient to God's will.
And you've already discovered this, but I say this all the time on the podcast. You don't have to do anything to earn God's favor. You are already loved by the Lord. You don't have to do all these legalistic list of things like going to church Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night, prayer meeting, soul winning, just to get more favor with God. It doesn't. He already loves you. He doesn't need you to do all those things to get his favor.
What people don't realize is you wake up with grace and mercy every single day.
Amen.
You get new grace and new mercy every single day.
And I need it, sister.
Every single day. You get new grace, new mercy every single day without doing absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
But being a child of God and being obedient to his will, and you wake up and you get grace and mercy. How about that?
Amen, sister. Jesus already did it for us. Already did it all for us.
You get grace and mercy. You get grace and mercy.
That's right. That's right. He's better than Oprah's gifts.
Yes. Top that, Oprah.
Well, good stuff. Now, as we're kind of coming to the end of our time together today.
Really? I'm enjoying my time with you. I really am.
But you're taking care of your mom here.
Oh yeah. Yes.
And that certainly helps you grow as a person too, right?
Oh my goodness. Oh, woo-hoo. Oh, during that, can I tell you a story behind that?
Sure.
So 2017, I walked into the classroom for the first time, my own classroom, and I am going to be a teacher after years and years and years saying that I would not be a classroom teacher. I finally decided to do it. Well, that right there created a monster in me. That started the anxiety. That right there, because I had passion and love and care for special education, I did not know how to turn it off. And so it stayed on all day, all night. Well, it created a monster. So fast forward, May 2nd, 2018. I called my mom and I'm talking to her. She is fine, absolutely fine on the phone, just sound a little tired. And so I'm like, I'll call you when I get off of work, because I was venting to her. And so I finally call her, and my nephew answered the phone. My nephew was like, she can't come to the phone right now. She's in the hospital. I'm like, wait a minute, I just talked to her. Like, duh, just talked to her. What happened? So apparently she had a stroke. She had one on the left and one on the right side of her brain, which caused left side weakness. And so when I found out, I was on the next thing smoking to Arizona to go check on my mommy. I found out on the 2nd. By the 3rd, the next morning, I was sitting at her hospital bed, making sure my mom was okay. Now, I took off work, which was the best thing I possibly could do, because it relieved some stress, because I was already stressing from it because I was a teacher. And so I had to make the choice. Do I leave? Do I stop what I'm doing or to care for my mom, or do I allow someone else to do it? And so my brother and my sister had just started her job. And so her job security wasn't necessarily, stable. And so my mom had moved out to Arizona to help him out. He's a military vet. And so he has his own issues. So she was there to help him. And all right, so who's going to help my mom? Who else is going to help my mom? And so I made the conscious decision. I spoke to my brothers and my sisters. I said, hey, what do you think we should do? Do you think I should take off? I had already some years in my district I was in, had never taken a day off. And so finally I reached out to HR and find out, can I take off? Will I be able to, survive? Because there's no income if I take off, you know what I mean? And so kind of find out everything. I didn't have to worry about my income. Everything was fine. And so now I have to take on the responsibility. Okay, do I stay in Arizona and care for my mom, or do I relocate my mom from Arizona back to California? Oh, I should have never done that. However, I believe it was part of God's plan. Part of God's plan. And because of that, it made me a little bit stronger. It allowed me to place boundaries and put boundaries in front of people. And I didn't know what I was being prepared for, but it started preparing me for things to come. And so my mom finally, we leave Arizona like in July or June or July, come back to California. My mom was with me from July 2018 to literally February or March of 2019. I cared for her. So my mom was in a wheelchair. I had to rearrange my home. I gave up my bed. I slept on the couch. I I inconvenienced my life to convenience my mom's life.
Well,
and
that's what we do, I guess.
yeah, and I didn't know that I didn't have to do that. I thought that it was my responsibility to care for my mother. I thought it was my responsibility to make sure that my mom was okay. But the truth is, it's not my responsibility to make sure that my mom's okay. My responsibility is to care for my son. My job is to honor my mom and make sure that she is honored. And so I had to set some boundaries because I'm getting ready to leave. Like I'm in the process of moving too. Like I'm trying to figure out my life because I don't want to stay in California anymore. And so I had to go in and out of California to Texas. I was in and out of town, for 18. I think I lived in my suitcase all of 18. All of 2018, I lived in my suitcase because I was either in Texas, I was in Arizona, I was flying to California, I was just flying places, looking to move. And finally, I moved to Texas, but I had to release my mom back to my brother, make sure he cares for her, making sure, she is doing what she is supposed to do. But it took a strain out of my life because God still needed me to do what he needed me to do. And having that responsibility, I can't do what he needs me to do. And so I had to, it looked like I was abandoning my family. It looked like I was abandoning my mom, but I wasn't. I had to prepare myself for something that God wanted me to do. And because God is first in my life, everybody couldn't understand the no's that I was throwing out. They didn't understand that. And I had to let them know, like, look, my relationship with Christ is very important. And what you don't understand is that he wants me to move. If I had a choice, I would stay. But the happiness that I experienced somewhere else, the peace and joy that I've been lacking for so long, I find it in a place that brings me hope. And so I can't care for you. I can't care for you. Sorry. And so, but I had a lot of family upset with me because they thought I was abandoning my mom. No, when God tells you to do something, you pack your stuff up and you go.
Yep.
When he went to go get the boys from that was the fishing, he said, "Drop your net and come with me." They did not go back home and say, "Hey, Mom, hey, Dad, I met this man on the road and he told me blah, blah, blah." And they're like, "Hey, but da, 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 da." No, they dropped the net and they was like, "All right, let's go."
Yeah, even one of them asked, "Hey, can I go bury my father?" No, let the dead bury the dead.
I gotta go. I gotta go. And so they didn't understand that. And so now, mind you, I'm going through counseling for my anxiety, but I'm also going through spiritual counseling with my pastor once a month.
Very good.
Yeah, I had to add that component inside. I needed a balance. I really needed a balance for the mental and the spiritual because they're separate, but you need them both.
Absolutely.
And so because I had the spiritual guidance and because my pastor backed it up with his with the word and with scripture, it made it easy for me to make the decisions that I was making. And so, and it was just giving me confirmation of what God wanted me to do. It was giving me confirmation on what I needed to do. And it was all Bible based. He backed it up with scripture. And I was very, I wasn't compliant to what he was saying at first. Because I was like, but wait a minute, Pastor. But this is, and let's turn it here. Oh, okay. Well, I don't. Oh, you mean I don't have to like them? No, but you do have to love them. Oh, okay.
That answers that.
Yep. And so because when I started to put up barriers and stop you right in your track for what you're getting ready to say, people started finally to understand, hey, she means business. And I'm like, look, I saw myself going down a road that was not healthy. I could have stayed, but what cycle would have been breaking? I would have been repeating the same cycle, but it looked different. Well, I was tired of that cycle.
Yeah.
It was a toxic cycle. And so I had to say, you know what? Enough is enough. Who is going to leave? Who is going to go and do what they need to do?
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to be the example that it can be done. You can go. You can leave. You can do it. Had not my mom had that stroke, had I not had the anxiety, had I not had any of those things, I would not be where I am. And so her disability, her sickness, it helped me, because now I'm seeing what I don't want to do. Now I'm seeing what happens if I continue not to listen. This is what happens when you don't listen to Christ. This is what happens when you don't follow, don't follow my will. But when you surrender your will in your way and you follow me, you will get results.
Right.
And so it was hard. I had to leave her alone and go. Now she's back with me. And I still don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. And so now God is sending so much help. Oh my goodness. God is amazing. He's definitely amazing.
Oh,
so
that's good.
He is definitely helping me out with getting her services. I'm getting people people are calling me like every other day, telling me about what needs to be done. And I'm like, well, it got done, or it's getting done. And they're like, how did it get done so fast? And I'm like, you don't know who I know.
That's awesome.
So, her disability, or her having a stroke, it helped me a lot. It helped me be who I was. I think I wrote in my chapter, had she not had she not had that stroke or something like that, I would not have had the voice that I had, because I had to take on a whole nother voice.
Things happen for a reason. Yes.
Yeah, a whole nother voice, and I had to stand up, basically.
Now this has been such a good time. You have such great stories, and you're definitely a storyteller, and you have so much wisdom from the things that you've learned. Now,
thank you.
Give the listeners your best piece of advice.
Oh my! Listen. You don't know everything. You don't know everything. I'm gonna be real honest. Like, you don't know everything. No, you don't. Sit down somewhere and you listen. Listen to what's not being said.
Mm.
That's what you have to do. Listen to what's not being said. And then go back and question it. Don't be afraid to question. Don't be afraid to question God. Don't be afraid. Ask the questions. And if you find yourself repeating the same pattern all over again, I'm pretty sure it's not healthy, So, if you pass the test, you don't repeat the same things over again. You can move on to the next thing. But if you find yourself repeating the same thing over and over again, it's most likely that you didn't learn something. So what you want to do is sit down and say, hey, Lord, what is it that you want me to learn that I'm not learning because I'm repeating the same pattern all over again? So what is it that you want me to learn? And I know I'm not going to move from this place until I learn. I don't want to go through this again. So can you help me learn whatever it is that I need to learn so I don't have to repeat this pattern? And if I repeat this pattern, make me stronger so I won't, I won't fail.
That is so good. That is so very sage advice that everybody needs to hear that. Not just our young people.
Especially it's for the young people. It's for the young people. If I can get you young, if I can tell my story is not to scare you. I'm transparent because people wasn't transparent with me. And so the more transparent you are, the better understanding you will have. And so that's where I am.
Everybody's got to get a copy of your book. So tell us where they can get your book so they can read more about your stories and more about you.
You can go on to, I'm on Destined to Be Blessed. That's my website that you can actually go on to. But to purchase the book, you can always go on to Amazon. You can go to Barnes & Noble. You can go to Google Books. And you can also go to lulu.com. If you go to lulu.com, that's probably faster. You'll get your book a little bit
faster than Amazon? Wow.
Yeah, that's the not the publisher, but that's the printer. And so you get it fresh off the press. So if you go to lulu.com, you can actually get it from the press and wherever they make up the books and there. But you can also find me on Instagram, Destined to Be Blessed. That's where you can find me. And you can find me on Facebook too at Destined to Be Blessed. And just type in My Last 20 because that's the name of my book. And that's where you can get me.
Yeah, connect with you and ask you advice for sure.
You can ask me anything. I am an open book. That's a lot of people don't understand or don't know about me. If you come to me and ask me, I will be willing to tell you. Now, if it's too private, I will say, hey, a little bit too private. But but it's something that will definitely break a cycle or break a curse. Hey, I'm your girl. Come to me. We got to do it.
Absolutely awesome. Wow. Well, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast. You definitely have to keep in touch and
I will come back onto your show if you come back onto my show.
Oh, you're getting a show?
I am in the process of creating a podcast. And so I'm hoping to launch sometime in September. And so I'm working on some things and I'm trying to get started. This is a whole new world. I don't know anything about it.
Anything I can help you with in trying to get it started, email me, text me.
I will. I think we're friends on Facebook through the group.
Yeah. So,
yeah,
you're stuck. I absolutely can help you with getting started. Went through that in October. And I'd be happy to be a guest and tell my story.
Yes, I would love to hear
Absolutely.
your story. I appreciate you for reaching out. So thank you so much.
Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you for listening to the Wounds of the Faithful podcast. If this episode has been helpful to you, please hit the subscribe button and tell a friend. You can connect with us at dswministries.org, where you'll find our blog along with our Facebook, Twitter, and our YouTube channel links. Hope to see you next week.